Welcome back to the Queen Rising podcast. I'm your host, Misty, and I have been coaching women since 2015 on confidence, alignment, getting their energy back. And today, this is a little bit of a different episode. I want to talk about 5 ways you can start earning income right now. So, if you are struggling financially, like many of those of us in the US are, I want to share with you how you can supplement your income right now with skills you already have. So I know most of my episodes go around astrology, energy, self care. However, I've always had side gigs going ever since I became a mother. So I learned early on that the typical 9 to 5 grind, the typical corporate America does not work for mothers. Sorry, there was a glare. I wanted to get that off of our screen. So I'm bringing it back because I actually love business. I went to school for business and accounting. And when my son was just a couple years old. So many of you may not know that I have a son that has special needs. He had some developmental delays. I've since went on and got him diagnosed, and he is diagnosed with intellectual disability. But when he was 2 years old, we didn't know what was going on. He was just late in all of his milestones. And I was working full time in accounting, and I worked a 9 to 5. I had a 30-minute commute, and I went to my boss. So the office that I worked in, it was a very small business, and in among the people who worked in the accounting department, many of the people took Fridays off, or they worked from home on Fridays. And so I knew that I needed to be home with my son more than what I was. And so I went to my boss and asked her if I could also either take Fridays off or work from home or whatever. I wasn't necessarily looking to scale back my work. I was just looking to scale back my hours because the way my schedule worked, I worked in accounting, and Monday through Thursday, I stayed busy. However, on Friday, again, there was hardly anyone in the office. All the managers were working from home, and I had about maybe 2 hours of work on Fridays. And then the whole rest of the day, I was sitting around scrambling, trying to find something to do. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I could take Fridays off and it wouldn't be that big of a deal because I don't really work that much anyway. I don't have a lot to do on Fridays. 2 weeks later, I was replaced and I was told that my services were no longer needed. So I quickly realized that the corporate world and the 9 to 5 grind just was not a fit for mothers, especially if you have kids with special needs, you have high needs children, or you just want to be a present parent. And last year I went through a divorce, and I stayed in that marriage longer than I should have. I should have left much sooner than I did. And had I had a solid income stream, a solid sustainable income stream, I probably would have left sooner. And so one of my missions, I have a newfound mission in my business is I have a strong mission to help women create their own income sources so that they can leave whatever situations they want to leave. That could be a job, that could be a relationship, that could be a family situation. I strongly feel like more and more women need their own sources of income, even if you're happy in your job, even if your husband pays all the bills, even if all of the above, because extra income gives you options. And the state of the world we're in right now, you definitely need options. So let's talk about different ways you can create extra income, even if you're low on time, even if you're low on energy. I'm going to give you multiple options. Here's what I want you to know is you don't have to have this all figured out. You already have skills that could be monetized. You already have skill sets that people would pay you for. And if you want to take this deeper, I am teaching a workshop on how to utilize your natal birth chart to understand how you are leaving money on the table. Now, I know you're thinking, I do not have time for this. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to give you options to where you can do things that you're already doing. And this is just like one extra thing that you could be bringing money in. I know you're probably thinking, I have no idea what I would even offer. We're going to talk about that also. And I actually have at the end of this episode, if you listen to the end, I have a free PDF where I created this more than 4 years ago. It was all about how to discover your own genius. So I have a tool for you. Now, you may be thinking, I'm not ready or I'm not an expert, but I'm going to squash that. I'm going to give you stories of how I started, different things that I started and how I started it. And I was not an expert in anything. So if you're needing money right now, then the fastest path is to offer a service. So this is like a done for you service. And this is things people are already looking for. So things like bookkeeping, things like virtual assistants, things like maybe your neighbor needs a babysitter. Maybe the lady down the street needs someone to mow her yard. This is done for you, meaning you're taking something off of their plate and they're going to pay you to do it. So you may be thinking, I have no idea what I would even offer. And I want you to start with what you already know, what you already get paid for or have gotten paid for in the past. After I got laid off from my job when my son was 2 years old, I thought I was going to become a virtual assistant, but I really didn't have the confidence to go out and be pitching people. I had no confidence at all. But I had a friend come to me and she said, Misty needs a babysitter. And I know you're home with yours. You could watch her son also. I wasn't offering skill. I wasn't offering the service, but someone was coming to me and asking me for my help. And I was like, okay. She was like, it could just create some extra income for you. And it did. She paid me like, it was something so small. I think $40 a week or something. And she gave me $40 and that was like gas in my gas tank, or it helped me buy a little bit more groceries. So you do not need to be an expert in what you're offering. You just need to figure out, how can I be of service? How can I help someone else? If you see someone struggling, you see someone that needs help, and you know you could help put in a pitching hand, be a helper. And so from there, I thought, okay, if I am watching one kid during the day, then why not do 2 or 3 or 4 kids and get paid more money for the same amount of time? So that is when I expanded into my childcare business. But I didn't set out to create a childcare business. It was just like someone needed my help and I saw an opportunity, like, okay, I'm home with my son already and maybe I can just open my home up to other moms who need childcare. Now, the second thing you could do is either a done with you service or a coaching or teaching experience. Like, you probably have done something in your life and people are asking you, how did you do it? And you could teach them or you could do it with them. So one example of this is like personal training. You don't necessarily need to be a personal trainer, but if you have gotten great results in the gym, someone is probably, could you teach me? Maybe you can go to the gym with me and show me how to work out. Maybe you started a garden from scratch and now you have this overabundance of food, and people are like, could you teach me how to grow my own food? That's something you could teach somebody. A little while after I started my childcare business, many people, I'm not sure if you're familiar with my original story or not, but my now ex-husband, we were married at the time, and he had an emotional affair. And at the time, I was struggling. I was mentally struggling. I was emotionally eating. I was overweight. I was not happy with what I looked like in the mirror. And after he had this affair, I didn't know where things were going to go in our marriage. And I just knew that if we got divorced, I needed to be good on my own because I was not going to allow anyone to take my kids away from me. So I had to become so good on my own. And that meant mentally fit and emotionally fit and physically fit. And I just knew I needed to get my confidence back because I knew if I got my confidence back, it would be like a domino effect in all the other areas of my life. And so I went on a health journey and I started eating better and I started working out again and I dropped 36 pounds. I was just sharing my journey. I was sharing what I was eating. I was sharing my workouts and I was sharing my story of how I got to where I was. And all these women started asking me, can you help me? You look amazing. I want what you got. And so this is another story around how you could create income by something you've already done. And someone is probably looking at you like, what if you could teach me how to do what you did? Now, the thing about that was I really didn't have a lot of extra time but the products I was using, I started recommending people like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Go here to buy it. And I started earning a commission on those products that I was recommending. And I easily end up getting an extra $1,000 a month from affiliates products. So this could be things you're already utilizing, already doing, and you just recommend it. And this was great for my ADHD because I didn't have to ship it. I didn't have to maintain orders. I didn't have to do customer service. All I had to do was do the coaching part of it. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Go here to buy it. And then the company took care of all of that. They took care of the orders, the shipping, the tracking, all of that. So that was really great for my ADHD. And I love affiliate marketing for that reason, because it's like things you're already utilizing, it's products you already love. You're probably already recommending it, but you may not be getting a commission. So affiliates marketing, if you're really low on time or energy and or you just don't like that idea of having to ship things out and keep track of orders and all that. So another thing you could do if you are creative, you could sell like digital products. Think like Etsy, digital downloads, calendars, templates, journal pages, social media packages, the social media like images that you see on Instagram. Like there are people that are selling those. They're creating them and they're selling them to entrepreneurs who just don't have time or the energy or the creative space to create them themselves. This is also really good if you are, again, low on time and energy, because you can create it once, list it on Amazon or Etsy, or there's Gumroad, there's different websites you could host it on, and then they do all the promoting. So another way you can make extra money is starting a community, starting a movement around something. This could be like a YouTube channel, a blog, some kind of a community, and you could offer it as a paid community where people are paying you to be in the community. They're paying you for accountability. I used to host weight loss challenges, and every month we would host a weight loss challenge and we would get 20 or so women in there, and they paid to be in there because they wanted the recipes, they wanted the accountability, and they needed that. If you didn't want to do a paid community like that, you could just monetize a blog or YouTube channel with, again, affiliate marketing and or coaching. You could create a course and promote it from like a YouTube channel. Like I said, if you need money right now, what I recommend is service-based, something people are already looking for and they're already needing help. Things like childcare, meal prep, personal training, or if you go into the business world, people need virtual assistants, they need bookkeepers, they need social media managers. So I want you to utilize the skills you already have. What have you been paid for? And how can you utilize those skills? So for years, all through college, I was a waitress, a server. I worked in multiple different restaurants. And you would never think this translates over to what I do now. However, 3 years ago, I went back into accounting. Again, I was in a troubling marriage. I needed cash. And I decided to go back into accounting after more than 10 years being a stay-at-home mom. And the guy that I worked for, so I did mostly bookkeeping and tax prep. I worked the front desk, but our clients only came in by appointment only. So I really didn't see very many clients. However, after about a week of working there, the guy that had hired me, he came in and he said, okay, out of all the people I have hired, you are absolutely the best with the customers. You are absolutely the best with the clients. And I attribute that to my server experience because I learned how to navigate multiple personalities. I learned how to work with a lot of different kinds of people. So even if your paid experience, you feel like it doesn't always translate to what you want to do, I bet you could get creative and really think outside the box of, okay, what has this taught me and how could I better utilize this somewhere else? So for instance, my server experience, I could easily translate that into customer service. And I could do customer service for just about anybody. So if you want the PDF of Discover Your Genius, I'm going to leave that below in the description. And also, I am doing a paid workshop. We're going to utilize your natal birth chart and we're going to look into your natural gifts and talents and different places of your birth chart, what you're known for, what people know you for, and also, what you're just naturally good at. And we are going to figure out how you can start making money right now.